All right, hello everyone, welcome back to Crypto Warehouse. My name's Brogan. Today we are back for another trading stream. So today's been pretty exciting. Let me turn my mic down a tiny bit. I think it's peaking. Today it's been a pretty exciting day. Obviously, if you've seen anything today, obviously you've been awake. If you only just woke up 10 minutes ago, obviously, you might not know what's happened. It's been pretty eventful. Probably what I think. I don't know where. I think it's true. This biggest event of liquidations in a long time, basically. I don't want to say the exact date in case I'm wrong, but biggest liquidation date. We do have, obviously, $1.62 billion of longs liquidated. In terms of total wrecked, $1.75 billion, which is pretty crazy. But yeah, it's been a crazy day. Just an absolute cascadation, if you will, I guess. That's probably not a word. It's been a absolute downpour today. So obviously we're gonna get into it. I think for most things we're expecting continuation downwards anyway. Although obviously I think the main outliers were definitely Ethereum and Sui. But on the whole, it's not been awful. But regardless, it's just been hitting every stop on the way down. Just really absolutely coming down. It's been like this since, it was maybe like an Asia Open. I think it just continues to come down all throughout every market open, continuing downwards. So it's been a massive move down pretty much across the board. Again, I think it's a situation. I was trying to find a platform. I had a platform. I wanted to try and look at positional trade data, because again, I don't normally look at that on a day-to-day basis. I don't normally look at it on stream. I have done previously, because I kind of wanted to see if we could kind of watch areas and kind of see why it's occurred and at what points has this hit on the way down. I think I found I might do it maybe later on. Maybe we'll cover what we can today, and then if we've got some time in the stream, which is probably not a likely thing, as I am speaking, I probably need to start a timer. I say we might have time in the stream to do it. Obviously, that is an unlikely scenario, knowing me. But I think I've found somewhere which is a lot freer, because places with like certain data and stuff, it's just like they're so locked down. But I have found one, so we might try to look at it and see like areas we've hit on the way down. But whatever. I want to say hello to everyone actually before I continue onwards. But yes, we have absolutely ripped downwards. So yeah, I might try to look at that to see we can actually look at where everything got liquidated at. So yeah, we're getting to you all, Kishan, Mags, Tariq, KB, Tito's here. Shout out to you all. Appreciate you all being here. Mike is also here. Wednesday is Mu Night, exactly. Mike is not streaming tonight, obviously, or today. He obviously didn't stream today. It's night time now. So I thought I would stream today, because I thought, okay, if we're doing Wednesday and Thursday, I've got obviously the stream on Thursday, and I'm already streaming Wednesday, I might as well stream the Monday and then miss the Tuesday and then do the Wednesday. Obviously Michael's also not streaming, so that's why I'm doing it today. And also we're trying to do trying to record something with someone else as well, so I need some time to do that. So kind of try to aim to do it today so we can have some time future, and then obviously come back on Wednesday to do the Mu Night. So yeah, that's why I'm doing this today. But obviously I think this is better time than any to come on, because this has happened. So yeah, anyway, scrolling back up, we can see question is why. Obviously we can try and get into it. Obviously there's the simple layman there's a simple general coverall explanation of in terms of positional futures positions and how they get taken out on the way downwards, and it continues to sell back, if you will. If they're buybacks if they're buys for longs, if you will, buy and sell. If they're buys for longs, these stops or stop losses in any regard, whether it be liquidation or not. Obviously in this case liquidations, obviously we had $1.62 billion of liquidations in long, so as you liquidate those will be sellbacks. So sellbacks obviously will continue to sell as we hit down. So in the term, and most of you in this chat will probably have heard of cascading liquidations before, as this moves the price lower and lower as we hit these stops on the way downwards. So obviously there was definitely going to be some key points, which is why I wanted to try and look at on the stream as a point of, not education, I'm not saying I'm some teacher, but in terms of a good thing to maybe try to find out what areas actually, data point based, actually were the points the price hit which had these liquidation points, or where price was driven down to hit these points on the way down. So obviously that is the why, but in terms of the specifics, it was just a ball of shorts which continued to push the price down, and prices obviously was pushed downwards to hit these areas, but whatever. Mags, I'm making dinner. I'm going to watch stream on TV and listen to what I'll say. Great. You know what? I think with these streams, I think hopefully people can get plentiful things out of this, whether it be, you know, just me talking about the actual charts, obviously as an opinion, not financial wise, or it could be someone else to put on the background, because there's some streamers, I think they make their success position not based on what they say, but how they portray it and how they say it, in terms of, it's just a nice thing to put on in the background. So obviously my crazed ramblings might not be somewhat relaxing to put on as you're making dinner and eating it, but regardless. But obviously good evening to you, Tio, as well. I see you saying good evening. But anyway, good evening to you all. Hopefully you've all had a great day so far, excusing what the markets have done. But, you know, I've hoped you have, you know, wherever you are, obviously time zones different, had a great day so far. There's no shortage of opportunities to invest, wait along. Exactly. I mean, again, I think it was nice that we had this move, especially my main focus last stream on Bitcoin was looking at the weekly and looking at what we were doing. We had a gap on the weekly. We have filled that. If you go to the 4 hour, we've taken, you know, XYZ positions. You could, you know, countless things, you know, we could look at, oh, well, this high was what we took, and, you know, hindsight and whatnot. But the main thing we did also, the main thing before, obviously, this massive liquidation was filling this weekly gap. And what I was saying was, it would be nice if we can get to, I think it was 118, 170, somewhere in that area. We're shy of that by like $170. But obviously we hit our high points filling that area, and we obviously have been talking about the fact that we might want to be coming down on the higher time frame, you know, just really looking at the higher time frame and what the higher time frame might want to do, should in theory want to continue downwards. So that's kind of what orchestrated, in my opinion. Obviously Ethereum, I'm crying in the same boat as Ben is, so that is okay. Anyway, I bought some syrup today, Mags. I hope I don't lose a lot. Yeah, I mean, it obviously depends on what you bought it at. If you bought it at the top or if you bought it at the top position. But I have been wanting 38.47 for the longest time. And I don't know if we got there. We'll get to the chart. I think we missed it by that much again. So, again, I will see it. But my main price has been 38.47. I think we wicked to maybe 0.0003 of a penny off of it again, and we came back upwards. So obviously I'll see, but obviously we might not be over with this thingamajiggy. But yeah, apart from Sui, which has been an absolutely beautiful, splendid TA all throughout, I've been looking at it. Obviously we've had this today, so you know that is what it is. And obviously Ethereum, you know, rest his soul, Ethereum. But yeah, 40 cent, is that what it is? I think it was somewhere around there now. We'll obviously get into it and whatnot, but like I said, it rebounds and stay lower. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that's what we kind of had on the weekly. We had, or one of the main things I've been looking at on the weekly anyway. I think you were probably there. I think you were there on the other stream anyway. And for everyone anyway, I'm going to say this anyway, but I don't know if you were there last stream in the Bitcoin. I think I remember reading your name out. But obviously, you know what? No, I will look at it again. You know, we'll actually look at the charts. Let me stop. So 112624. That is. It feels like I'm speaking from weeks ago. But 112628. Or maybe not weeks ago. I don't know how long ago. The exact price, but we've come down obviously pretty far. 2.4% down 24 hour. 2.34 7-day. Again, it's pretty much happened within today. I think it was like 1 or 2 a.m. my time today. So basically, the start of Asia and the market has just, you know, that set out the course. There you go, down we come. So obviously, you know, everyone got really excited, clearly, and thought Bitcoin was going to go back to highs, and we've had this situation happen. 41574 Ethereum. I think we were talking when it was at like 4,000. Wait. I don't know where we were exactly, but anyway, we're down a lot. 7.23% 24 hours, 7.6 on the 7-day. I think the majority of these numbers are going to be negative. I don't think there's much point of looking at this. Obviously, 21897. I will say Solana, we have wanted it to come lower, and in terms of what we had on the grand scheme of things, Solana has come down to a nice price relative to what we've talked about. Bitcoin, we've wanted this to happen. Again, obviously, we've been talking about that, especially last stream. I think I've talked about it on other streams when I have looked at the higher time frame for Bitcoin, but especially last stream when I was aware that I have obviously looked at the weekly gap we had on the on Bitcoin, which obviously we've filled, and now we're starting to come back down again, and we failed to print past the weekly candle and continue our trend upwards. So clearly we might be coming downwards, which is what's happening now. Anyway. So 218.95 for Solana. It was around 220. Obviously, this kind of area. This is kind of where we were looking at previously. We will obviously look at it when we get past Bitcoin and Ethereum. So again, that's not really too much to give there. Sui, $3.34. We've come from $3 like 90. It's been beautiful. We've had the most beautiful TA, and then obviously everything is dumped. And you know what I will say, Sui was the beauty. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't see it coming down. Out of everything, again, everything was coming down, and this might be my fault, in talking about, oh yeah, Bitcoin's coming down, Solana's coming down, SIRP's coming down, CRO's coming down, XRP's coming down, all these things I've talked about coming down, and then like there's 1-2 thing going, oh, I think this is going to go up. You know what I mean? So maybe that's me being a fool. But anyway, Sui's had the most beautiful TA. Obviously, we'll talk about it in due process. I do also just want to go over the general of Sui. I have done this previously, but I just like looking at it. It's a very nice chart. Anyway. SIRP, let's see what price we are. We are at 40 cent. Yeah, there you go. I thought we were at 40 cent. So yeah, obviously massive move down. I think we got to where was the low? 3961, which is off of the low. I think we got pretty close. I don't know. We didn't hit the low. But again, we are on the way down. And this is also considering the fact that we've had the most amount of sales on the way down with these massive candles, which just haven't even been traded back into. So we might see, a bit of a cool off with this move. But anyway, which could see us a tiny bit lower, but we'll get into it. And then the last one will be CRO, maybe? I think. So CRO, obviously the first target was 22 cents. We're now at 21.3 cents. So the next one, the lowest point I had, the lowest point was about 19.18 or 19.18 cent-ish. For the final area we had blowers. 22 cent was the first area, filling the first area we had, and then obviously seeing how we used that area and if we actually continued back upwards or not. And then the next area was 19.18. So again, still a good area at 22 cents. 21.3 right now, still in the area. I do think we might see a bit more down. Again, obviously, considering we've come past everything on the way down with this massive move today. I think CRO obviously has hit the 22 cent area, hit a good amount of a period. Still had resistance, still had issue, didn't quite print up. Obviously, the last stream I was talking about potentially reversing one of the resistance areas, but obviously last stream we looked at it, it hadn't reversed that. We continued to use it as resistance, and obviously continued back downwards, so perfectly fine there. So it's just a really big extension downwards. So in terms of sentiment so far, apart from Ethereum and Sui, which had decent charts, or especially Sui anyway, it was pretty much negative across the board for me still. So in terms of how the surprise of this, it's still a massive liquidation event. So obviously we can't ignore that. But in terms of sentiment and where I would have expected the price to come anyway, no matter how long it would have took and how fast it would have been, it's still not really too much of a surprise for me anyway. But I'm yapping. Let me see the chat one more time, and then we can go on to the chart. So. What's the target of SIRP? Obviously, we'll get into it again. I still have 30. I haven't actually updated. It's still that low because we haven't gone up and printed past and gone through that hard time frame high. So we haven't printed past it. So we're still in this kind of range we've got going on, but we're still negative. So that low is still where I want to see. So anyway, last two parts. So 0.4 cent broken. Yeah, obviously that's kind of the area we're at now. Roughly the area we want to be at for SIRP anyway. Still a good price. And again, this is the thing: are you buying or you like high leverage trading? If you're high leverage trading, it really does matter where you're entering. But 38.5 cent, wherever it is, 40 cent. These are good prices anyway for Sui, or SIRP. Sorry, especially considering what Sui is in my head. Sui's in my head. I can't get it out. SIRP is going to do. Anyway, the most important question now is the bull run will be delayed down November. No. Well, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Again, we've got a lot of time. We've got a lot of time to play out. But this is the start. Or it might be the start. It would be nice if this was the start of... Did I just make my mic go quiet? I hope not. It would be nice if this was the start of what I wanted to happen on the weekly, to go to these really low areas, to find our higher low on the weekly, and then we can rip again. This is what I want. Realistically, this is what I want. Anyway, done on that yapping. We've obviously looked at this. We've looked at this, 1.62 billion and counting in the last 24 hours. It's pretty cooled off on the floor and whatnot here, but it don't really matter. Again, liquidations. 1.62 is the important number here for the longs. So yeah, on the way down. Anyway, let's have a look. So we obviously had the first area. We were looking at the 4 hours, seeing where's the max area I could expect. Max area I could expect for Bitcoin. It was around this area at 109.2. The low I really wanted to see if we can get to was basically 118.2 exactly instead. But again, we were still coming into these areas, and we did talk about this. We had filled here. And I was like, okay, cool. As soon as we get past and towards that 107, where is it exactly? I just had that area. There we go. About 117 within this grand area, especially considering we're on the weekly here. This was the main target, so within that realm of fillage, if you will. Obviously, shimmied up a bit higher. If we go into lower time frames, we can see different areas. We had a massive pump and a massive dump here, filling this tiny area here with this massive high. It looked like that was kind of where we wanted to target for Bitcoin as well. So within this area, as soon as we get towards that 117.2 area and filling it, that's kind of where the max high area I would expect. Again, as soon as we get above that 0.5, 115.862, we're watching to see where could we stop at. Okay, we've had this retracement. And again, this is on the daily here. This completely makes sense. We've had a massive expansion. We want this. This is normal price action. We have our low. We have a nice print past it. We find an area to stop at. Again, we had this support over here. We come upwards. We have a retracement. We have a higher low. And then we continue back downwards. This isn't... this is fine, you know. Again, and I'm not dismaying the event we have had today. I'm not dismaying this scenario, but I mean, again, we've had bigger moves upwards. We've had bigger moves, and these haven't been liquidation events. You know, everyone's over. It just to have a liquidation event like this. It's like, okay, clearly everyone was long. Everyone, their grandma was long. Obviously, I had my price targets. I had my in terms of having if we are to go past this, because again, this is the resistance area. Now I know it's a bit of a grandiose area. It's like, oh well, why don't you target 120? Well, why? You know, it starts at 118.2, which we didn't even see, by the way. But again, it clearly shows everyone was still long. Everyone wanted long. Everyone wanted higher prices, and this wasn't just on Bitcoin. This was pretty much across the board here. Everyone wanted higher prices, and we haven't done that. We had a nice little tickle down, and I do really want to, again, I do want to speed it up for myself. This isn't the chat thing. It's not you, it's me. I do want to speed up because I do want to see if I can go on to the other platform to look at kind of open interest, CVD, you know, just watch the price on maybe like the 50-minute, 1 hour, whatever it was, and just show the process of how we moved in here. Because I do actually want to see what prices made the open interest change the most, and see what prices really look like we wanted to target for in terms of where these liquidation or cascading liquidation downwards. Because again, as soon as we hit these different areas of mass liquidations on the way down, I'm sure, you know, there was different stop losses and liquidations all the way on the way down, but there's definitely going to be certain areas where a large majority of people think or thought the price was at. Because again, you know, if it's not a stop loss, it's a liquidation. All these areas of liquidations, it's just minimizing where your liquidation point is. You still get liquidated. It's just what fraction of your trade. I'm explaining it horribly. But still, I wanted to see what prices was kind of a unanimous, either a full port long, which didn't have a stop loss and just got fully liquidated, and roughly trying to figure out where people longed at. I thought that would be interesting, so I did want to see. But anyway, I was looking at my test. I will not wait for long. Don't worry, guys. It's not all over. I guess it's not all over, guys. I don't think it's over. Anyway. So yeah, daily, obviously we look at these highs and whatnot as like potential areas, especially considering we had the massive area coming from this support. By the way, this candle here, we were talking about the fact that I was talking about this probably about up here. We were talking about this area, this one here. That's not drawn very well. This area here being an area of support, coming into it, finding a retracement from this area. And again, this is a higher time frame support, so higher time frame retracement, and then continuing downwards. Even though, because obviously we have our reasons. We have a fail to print past this high, especially on the weekly as well. Just a complete wick past this high, massive dump, not even using it in any regard. And then obviously we would expect to maybe see some sort of support, but not really holding it. So we definitely did see that with here. Had this massive pump from this, just buy area in general, and then had a massive dump coming from this price. So again, probably an interesting area regardless at 117.427. So again, there's different areas to focus on. Again, as soon as we get past that 116k area, watching to see, okay, we could take this high, we could take this high. We have a big wick here with a tiny body. This could be resistance for, rejection block, kind of coming to the midpoint of there. So it's kind of focusing on which areas we we going to see? So obviously found this internal. So the idea, especially in the downtrend, is we're obviously starting a downtrend. We have the low, which obviously we've come past, and we find support in this area back here. Obviously we've talked about that, and then we are coming to area within this move downwards. So either a high, little gaps here, this resistance. There's different areas to focus on, but then when you find that resistance point, you find that stopping point, it's then focusing to continue the flow. And again, this isn't some magical thing I'm talking about. This is normal downtrend. Again, you're either range bound or you're trending downwards. So we're either going to be obviously in a small range. Obviously we know how that could play out, and obviously most of the time we're probably going to either be going up or we're going down. So obviously in this case, especially on the daily high time frame, potentially also weekly, we're probably continuing this start of this down move we have. So obviously from there, if we are going to be considering that regard, coming from this move, it's like, okay, what's going to be next? If we're going to be in a move down, continuing downwards, where do we want to look for? We're going to want to be doing a low towards here. It's pretty much just that's all I'm really basing this off. So basing thinking about that again in terms of, it's also a balance between why should we stop versus why should we continue to go down. So why should we continue to go down? We've definitely hit some very valid areas in our previous. It's not like we're having some unsubstantial area. Also considering the fact we've had a cascade event, if you will, $1.62 billion liquidated on the way down. Obviously, a lot of people probably didn't see this coming. So fair enough. And then it's okay. Well, we have a reason to go down. We are going down very aggressively. I will admit. So then from there, it's like, okay, are we going to hit that low or are we going to stop? I don't really see much in here to think we're going to not go towards the low and stop, unless we have a massive certain event and then everyone's in a short and then the price goes back up and everyone starts to buy back and then we go up again. That could maybe happen if everyone thinks we're shorting. But also what I will say, if majority of every long gets liquidated, we're going to probably want a big retracement. And this makes sense. And this is the thing, it's like if we have these massive candles which run down rapidly, price is going to want to retrace to these areas. If you think about it on an obfuscated level, it's like, oh well, there's this gap in this candle which we haven't traded into, we're just going to want to come to this area and this is just going to magically be resistance. But then there's events like this which kind of draw the idea that these can be areas, especially if we're coming from an area where we're selling and also people can be shorting at the same time. There's going to be areas back in this price action which price is definitely going to want to see, and if we continue upwards and we have buybacks, let's say, or whatever it be, either buybacks or missing areas where people want to short at and there's orders there, price is going to want to come back to either take that area, if it be a buyback, or come to these short areas, and then once we hit and kind of exhaust that, we will continue downwards. So I'm not saying we're going to see a straight line right down to 107.2. I do think we'll have a retracement because that makes sense. But obviously at the same time, it's like, okay, how long is that going to take, especially for on the daily and whatnot? So there's events like this, okay, with this massive move upwards, everyone in their grandma's buying, people might be longing here, so we've got longs here, we have orders to buy at, and on the way down we probably have stops to get to. So we're gonna hit a point where everyone wants to buy at, and then we've exhausted all the stops at the same time. So all the sells or the sellbacks or whatever the exact coin is, or not coin, the phrase which is coined. I'm using random words now. It's getting crazy. When all the sellbacks finalize and then we've hit the area where everyone wants to buy at, that's when really price stops. And it's it's realistically in the areas where you want to see price stop in these, to fulfill the areas. So obviously in this case you see this. So this on the way down, people are getting bought back, or they're having to buy back, obviously if they're short, or if they're long, sorry, there's a sell back. So obviously it's the same scenario as this. So my brain's not comprehending sell or buy. So this is kind of a similar scenario where we'll continue down until we hit a point where we've exhausted all opportunities for that sell pressure downwards, and then we've hit that area. But realistically, all it is, you've had this massive move upwards, you've had a small retracement, and you have a move upwards. Obviously, in this case, we haven't really had a true print above this. We haven't had a big displacement above this high. We failed to really print through it, and then we dump downwards. These candles get absolutely printed through. This is going to be resistance now, especially taking that high. Obviously, we've kind of wicked into this area as resistance, and we've continued downwards. So then that's obviously, causing us to reverse. So we've not had a nice print through. So, but obviously in this case, we've had a strong move past this low, small quite a slow retracement, decent retracement. And obviously, these are pretty expansive. Slight candles on the way upwards occasionally. Again, we're on the daily here. We're not going to expect a massive singular candle downwards or anything. But, normal retracement. I've already talked about this, so I'm not going to talk about it again. But just talking about the idea that, these areas are valid areas, even though they might just be some magical, it's just a magical, it's just the candle's got no wicks, it's a magical area where you're going to buy at, it's just some magic, it doesn't mean anything. Well, it has to mean something, otherwise it wouldn't exist. But anyway, back to actual price action. So what I'm saying, which kind of wraps it up, but it's kind of, the time, especially last stream anyway, it's been spent from me anyway, talking about Bitcoin, obviously in this case, on the higher time frames has been, quite long. I've spent quite a while looking at the weekly and the daily, obviously showing this area, printing through these lows, coming down, having a small retracement, lower high, continuing down, taking the low. So this makes sense on the weekly, makes sense on the daily. Because of the 4 hour, we've printed through all this low, we're going to come down, we've had these massive gaps, we're going to retrace to these areas, we're going to continue downwards. This whole area hasn't even been looked at. We're going to have a decent retracement. We'll probably have a retracement upwards, absolutely, but it might be the start of us starting to come downwards, especially coming from the higher time frame. Obviously, areas of interest or whatever you want to say it as, these are going to be the areas you want to focus on, which we have focused on, I should say, because obviously the price has already happened, and then obviously had this whole move downwards within basically this area here. This whole thing has this massive event we've had. And then from there, we're going to be looking at to come past, old lows, obviously on the way downwards, probably old areas here. We might see, obviously, we have an area here. We'll see a low there. We'll retrace. These are all external. These are all areas to focus on. Obviously, on the way down, also taking the continuation of the lows, taking all these and obviously finding resistance in previous price action. So in that case, it would be, okay, we have this low here, we're going to retrace, we're going to have our previous resistance areas, we're going to find our lower high, and then we're going to be continuing past for a lower low past this low we've obviously done. And obviously these will also take an effect. We can't ignore previous price action, otherwise, if you completely ignore previous price action, obviously why would we stop over here? You do take into account previous price action when considering where you can see lows at. So we will also be taking into account previous lows on the way down. So yeah, something to bear in mind. But from there, again, as I've said, I'm not going to spend... I have obviously spent half the stream not doing too much, and I do really need to move on. So what I will leave it off with is going to be, I do think we are going to have a retracement to kind of fill this area, if you will, or fill some of this area we've had on the way downwards for Bitcoin, and I think it could be a scenario where we continue lower, and this makes sense. And not only does it make sense on the 15-minute or the 5-minute, and the daily is really bullish, this makes sense on the weekly and the daily. And again, the 1 minute will have to continue an uptrend for so many candles for it to take effect on the 5-minute, 15, 30, and 1 hour. But for it, you do also, you can go backwards to forwards and forwards to backwards. So again, to have a bias of whatever time frame on the lower end, we have to pay attention to the daily and weekly. Even though the smaller candles make up that move on the daily and the weekly still orchestrate price action and bias based on what's going on the daily and the weekly. So the fact that we have the daily and the weekly both kind of in sync with the idea that we should come towards these lows, I am obviously pretty confident in the idea that we can continue to do this, unless we have something on the lower time frames which stops us out, obviously, on the idea that if we continue this downtrend as we go to the 1 hour, we might have some brilliant buyouts. We might have some great buyers here which completely stop us and start to go upwards. And on the daily or on the weekly, we won't see that until they start to print. But as I see it right now, we probably should continue downwards, and it's what it's been making sense. As soon as we hit towards this this support area, obviously within this candle here, which prints upwards, taking this gap here. I've obviously talked about these areas as well. Obviously, we filled this. We had this candle which has this print through, looking at support there. So not only do we have that support, we also had these two candles here, which obviously we came to enhance it a tiny bit. So as soon as we come to support, we're looking for that lower high, and then we're coming to take the lows again. And that's what it's been since we had this support. That's what it's been since down here. I've been talking about this all the way up, majoritively anyway. Obviously, we've been talking on the 1 hour about these areas, about us being long or short, but at the same time, the idea of us having this retracement has made sense since we've been on the way down. I have been talking about us having a lower high to then continue the wider downtrend we have on the weekly since we started to dump. So, or since we print past this low, as soon as we print past that low, we're looking to find the stopping point and then do the lower high. So that's what we've done. We've found the stopping point, weekly, daily, order block support area. Round about here, we've found this area within, well within this area, and then we have that lower high. There you go. I'm gonna go on to Ethereum now. So, I again, and this is the thing, and I've been saying this for plenty of streams. I've said I don't feel that bad if I'm completely wrong on Ethereum, because even if I'm completely wrong, so will Ben be wrong. So I think let's just go to the chart. So we have this mess of a chart. Now what I was doing, because I was so embarrassed about how messy this chart was, I started drawing on a different exchange because I wanted to kind of have a clear view. I thought, okay, this isn't happening. We have a high, we have a higher high, we failed to print, completely failed. We have a little gap here. We've filled the whole area, lower high, and now we're absolutely dumping. And we're gonna most likely print past these lows, and we're gonna start this downtrend. That's what it is. Okay, I can't ignore it any longer. I can't be in denial. Let's just give it a bit clean. Let's just look. Let's just get something cleaner. Okay, let's put this aside and look at what's really happening. So obviously this has been support. We've obviously used it previously. This was the whole area. We had this little candle, this little piggy. The 4 hour, obviously we've also been talking about this. I don't know where exactly I drew it from. I think it was just this area in general, wasn't it? I think so. It was, whoops. I think it was just that. Yeah, we had these, like, okay, great. So that's kind of what we've had for the longest time now. Obviously it was getting really bad, the price action, I'm not gonna lie. It's just like all these highs, just nothing was going on for I don't even know how long. It was like nearly 2 weeks, just not moving. So obviously we had this going on for a while. Then we had the massive pump, and it was like, okay, cool, we're here, we've printed past that, we're printing past everything. Here we go, we're doing it, and then we didn't. And this was, you know, this was me, and I just hit my mic. Do apologize. This was me. I should have looked at this properly because we did have, you know, this wick which didn't print, and then we had these two candles, and then this massive dump. I should have marked this low. I really should have, and I didn't. You know what? I don't know if I didn't actually. I might have it hidden, but let's just say I didn't. And obviously, if we look that across, we can obviously see we have this resistance, and we didn't even come back to it. Just absolutely dumped. So we've actually, that was the area we seemed to use in this high point we had about Saturday. Obviously, had this retracement, but again, obviously, little odd me. Oh look, guys, we have the low, we have the high, we have a retracement, and we'll come upwards. And we really did start, but we did. You know, we had resistance areas, fine. We did have resistance areas in our way. That's fine. Again, we've had plenty of times on whether it be Bitcoin, other coins as well, you know, everything else, where we've looked at, or I've looked at, the idea of having a retracement and then going higher, and we've had resistance on the way down, on the way downwards, which has, you know, given difficulty, but so, you know, it's not subsequently, I suppose, maybe subsequently not really cared about, and we've continued higher. Obviously in this case, I just wasn't reading the room. So we did have those resistance areas, which obviously we did use. You can't really ignore them at the same time. And then we had today. And then we've come from 4,500. We're in that area. We're doing great. There's still a chance. We're still absolutely fine. Also, we've come from resistance. We've kind of, you know, expanded downwards a bit. We've had some of these areas of gaps and whatnot, and you know, we've come to fill some of these areas with these candles, and now we're not moving anymore. And now we're coming down, and then we've printed past the low, and then we're gone. Barely even holding on to this. Obviously, we're past this. I can probably even delete this now. This will be resistance. So it's really not great for Ethereum. Now, again, I have said the same thing for Bitcoin. This is going to be a very nice area for Ethereum. It's going to be a brilliantly nice area. Same as Bitcoin, same as pretty much every coin we have. We have this going on. We have all these little, not really little actually. I think it was like 400. It was like in the, I think, I don't know where it was actually. Ethereum was the liquidations on Ethereum was grander, was the grandest, I would say. I think I can't remember the exact number. I remember reading the tweets. I was like, oh wow, that's not great at all. And then you know, obviously looking at the chart, it's also not great. But so obviously makes sense we have this massive move down. And again, I talked about this on the Bitcoin. I'm not going to say it again because I will not finish the stream, and I'll probably be still streaming by the time of the quiz, if I keep on saying the same thing over and over again, because obviously I've spent like 30 minutes on the stream, and I'm only on Ethereum, which is, again, I would say it's disappointing, but it's me. Am I surprised that I'm on Ethereum and I'm 30 minutes away through? No. And better yet, the timer was late, and I was late to add a timer, and I was late to start the stream, so we're probably even further ahead than 27 minutes left. So it's, anyway, if I stop talking, we might get through it. Anyway, so obviously these resistance areas, these are going to be these support resistance. Obviously the idea, we have it move down, massive move upwards, we use support, and then we come through it. Obviously a bit of a grander thing to try and focus on. If we go back to the daily anyway, obviously we formed it in this candle anyway, obviously coming from this area here. We use it, we come up, so obviously we've come above the high, so obviously whatever, it doesn't really matter, black box, who cares, come down. So we have this being, obviously we haven't printed through it, which is obviously the important part. So again, that's something we want to bear in mind. We want to print past this. If we have that, and then obviously we will then start to use resistance. But regardless, with I think I've already marked it out as an area we can see. Well, it's now going to be still resistance, but you can see we had this move upwards. Bikes outside. Obviously we had this area here, which we use as resistance for these two highs. We wicked a bit, we took these highs, whatever you want to. There's so many ways of saying the same thing. It kind of gets a bit annoying, but whatever. We have like 4 highs here. We move past it, and then we have this massive dump, which fulfills this candle, if you will, and then we move upwards. Because again, we're in the support area, so why are we going to want to find resistance when we're in a support area? You know what I mean? So we've printed past that low, great. So this should be resistance. But then we don't. We've come through it, especially with this high. We've come through it, and then we've obviously used it as support. So this is now the inverted, if you will. So then we've used that support. Obviously, that was our support area, but it doesn't matter anymore because it's Monday and we've come down. So that is still going to be resistance, obviously, on the latter end of things, 4,300. So there's plenty of resistance we have on the way up. So not only do we have these massive sell areas, whether that be orders to fulfill or little Jim gummies going, okay, I might have been long and I might have got liquidated, but don't worry, because I can short at 4,146 because we're going all the way down to 2,700 right now. And then obviously they get messed up because the price goes back upwards. Eventually it goes back upwards, and then they have all done like 100x shorts. She's like, okay guys, I might have lost a lot of money on Ethereum, but if I just double the leverage, I'll make it all back, right? That's what they think. Oh, look, guys. Resistance turns to support. Look at these areas. Look at this line, guys. This is going to be the stopping point. We're going to stop here. They're going to stop right here, and then we go upwards and fill the most of this. And again, I wouldn't be surprised if we have quite a deep retracement, and this will make people excited. And everyone's longing in that. And then we've not only taken the shorts, which obviously will once we hit that perfect area, we'll want to bring price down. Not only that, people will probably long on the way upwards. Go, oh, okay, it's over, guys. It's over, guys. Now we're going to all-time highs. And then not only are we taking the shorts and getting short orders, but also longing. And then it's going to hit that point where it's like, okay, we've had enough. And then we're going to get through this and everyone's going to get liquidated again. So I will probably be watching open interest in the coming days to see how it goes, because I do expect that to probably happen. Maybe not to the T to T as I said, but something along those lines. But regardless, I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest if we had some sort of retracement in this area at some point and then continue downwards. It would be a healthy move if we were to do that. Obviously, we will see. But it would be, I would expect to be pretty healthy, obviously, in my opinion, not financial advice. So in terms of Ethereum, again, now we can really start to look at the longer term of things. We can look at the bigger picture. We obviously have looked at this area. We've again, with the weekly, again, this, hold on, let me compose myself. So this obviously is, it depends obviously where we print on the weekly. Obviously it's Monday, so we haven't printed yet. Daily is obviously probably most important to print. Obviously, with eventually 7 daily candles will feed into the weekly. But you can see, we've had the move up, massive, move upwards. and now we've had this move downwards, and now we've kind of moved upwards and then not got above this high, and now we've moved downwards. We might print past these lows, and if we were to do that, which is probably most likely, then that's it. Ethereum is following suit. And again, this is what we expect. And this is obviously what I was saying in the intro, it's like if I'm talking about Bitcoin and pretty much every other coin under the sun about it coming down to these massive areas, and we have looked at Ethereum coming to these areas down here, 2,700 areas towards here, on the large trend, before we can have this massive move upwards, have a good old move downwards, and then continue this move upwards. We're going to need to, come to these areas, have a good old retracement, boom, and then we can go a lot higher than where we are right now. So it's normal, it's fine, and this I think will happen again. Weekly will most likely print like this. Daily has a good chance of at least printing past this low. In terms of major low, again, we've had the move up, move down, move up, and then technically lower high, or higher low, sorry. Lower high. This is obviously a concerning area. We had this area, we had the resistance on the 4 hour, lower high, and now we're starting to absolutely dump in general. Most likely it might print past this low. If we do that, that's the low, that's us printing past it, that's the daily coming down. Daily prints to this. Let's say we have a massive retracement from this area here, it's going to be up towards this area. I'm really just focusing, I don't care if I bring this to here, this is what I'm focusing on, this, because this is going to be a good old area here, this area, 4,400, 4,370, let's say, whatever it's going to be, to the precisity. But this is obviously going to be a good retracement. I think we're going to be coming up into this area. And again, like I said, I don't care about us coming from this area to this area, having a big old thing to 4,600, because this is going to really stop us, considering how much we've come down, and how much value it's brought us, or how much value it's accrued, if you will. I don't know if that's a word. It's somewhere along those lines. So I do think that's probably what's going to happen, and that will take us to affect what happens on the weekly if we continue that on the daily. Because again, daily to weekly, it's like 5 to 15 minute. Not really. It's like, what would it be? It's like the 5 to the 35 minute technically. If it's like 7, because 7 days to the weekly, so it's maybe a bit longer. But they're quite they're two time frames close, if you will, where daily, I could definitely see it more than happily coming down, maybe hovering a bit, and then coming down one more time during that week, or this week even, to play effect into the weekly, to then print through that low, and then have that move downwards, as we could potentially have on Bitcoin, which obviously we've been trying to look at for a long time now, and as we can have pretty much across the board, because again, that's been the plan. Let me move on. I will move on now. I've obviously talked about 2,700. We'll have some areas, we'll continue towards some of these areas at 3,600. Again, we did have a bit of support here with this candle, and then pump upwards, so we'll see some stopping points. But again, that makes sense. Downtrend isn't a straight line. It's going to be like this. We're going to see some areas. It's going to be a grand old thing like this. We're going to see areas of support. That's fine. So we can look at those areas, but will it be the stopping point? You know what I mean? Will it be the stopping point? Well, obviously the best way I can go off that is going to be where's that midpoint? Where's the point where we've exceeded a slight retracement? We've actually had a good higher low. It's going to be below that 3,500 area, and then the next main point, especially on the weekly for that, is going to be about 2,800, 2,700 in this area. It's going to be where I would want to focus on, especially if we look here, 2,687. With this candle down into that area, which allowed us to absolutely propel upwards quite swiftly, and then obviously have a nice little pump. So I somewhere in that 2,700 realm is going to be where I'd expect Ethereum to come to for a major low. And if we can go up this fast, I'm sure we can go down this fast and have a massive move upwards. But it's going to be somewhere within there, I would reckon, especially if it's coming from the main low to the main high. This is going to be a good old retracement, and then we're going to go even higher. It's just how I would expect it to work in my own little world, in my head. So obviously we'll see. Anyway, Solana. So we were talking about filling this area. I was like, it was the two streams ago. I was like, we'll cook up today. We couldn't, whatever. We had this area on the 4 hour. We had highs, whatever. So I've already talked about this. We obviously talked about this area here. I think it was a 2-day because I added both the candles, but again, it sits within this area. It could go a bit deeper towards to fill this, but again, I've already talked about it being sitting exactly around about the top end of being about 214, midpoint about 211. Again, somewhere as soon as it starts to come below 223, that's when you're watching. So again, you're watching 220, you're watching down, but again, if you're coming to that main area, it's either going to be 219 or 215. So again, within this realm of things, we obviously come down quite nicely towards this area. If we go towards, let's say, the 1 hour, we can see it a bit better. Massive old move downwards. We're obviously continuing, even though we had a massive wick, we are continuing downwards. So we might see towards a bit deeper into this area. Let me go to the 4 hour quickly. I want to see where exactly we can focus. We have some lows, I suppose. We do have this move down. What I want to see, we have the move upwards, and then we move down and then pump. So this kind of move comes into this, and then we have this move down, which comes back into this candle, and then we pump. So we could maybe see some support in here, which we kind of saw with this at 214, 215. So there might be something there, but we might come deeper than that, and deeper than that will be this low, which is 211. So we might have a slight more move down towards this area. We might do, but what I can talk about in a bit more confidence is going to be this area. Actually, I should probably update what we talked about on Saturday. So what we were talking about at the time of the stream was us inverting that 4 hour gap, because again, we have the high, the low, the high failed to print. Key component there. I'm going to take this forward in my notes, my mental notes. If you don't print, you lose. I need to remember that for Ethereum. Obviously, I'm too blinded, but you need to remember that. Anyway, fail to print, fill the gap. We're at resistance. We probably will come down. If it's not going to be where I said, which was like 225, I didn't get it, guys. I didn't get it. It's going to be somewhere here. Surely we see resistance. Surely we 253. Obviously, we did. So then, obviously, we have, and as soon as you print through this area, you're looking to see if you retrace. Tiny gap here. It's actually pretty nice price action. With a tiny little... Oh, no, we don't actually. I'll add to you guys. Sorry. What we did have, though... We probably had some sort of... I can't be bothered. We stopped. I don't care. I don't care. We stopped here, okay? That's just how it is. And then we came upwards, and obviously we're looking at this gap, which we inverted, and then obviously we actually did it quite nicely in this inversion. But what I will say on the daily is we did have this gap here, regardless which wick to that midpoint here, so who cares? But you can still see it on the daily a bit tighter, actually, other than the 4 hour. You have that area here, and then you print through it quite massively with this equal gap here. Really good wick into that. So a really good area here at 241, which we were already talking about on Saturday anyway. So that's to update that Saturday moment. So Solana was already coming down before we dumped. So you can see, consecutive candles downwards, and then Monday opens, and then we continue downwards. So I think with Solana, because obviously Bitcoin, it's. Solana was already... I mean, actually, you know what? I won't comment on that because I don't know everyone's psychology. I don't know what everyone thought. I won't say I think everyone thought, because that's not going to help anyone. That's not really constructive, so ignore me. But obviously, we can kind of clearly see a good old reversal, higher high, lower high, fail swing for the higher high, and then we have our low, we have our lower high, and then we come down. It was pretty good. It was nice. You see this, it was great. Whatever, with the high, especially this constructor here, taking that, filling this massive wick. This will be resistance if anything. I will say that. Pretty good expansion downwards, consecutive. There wasn't really much. It wasn't really much of a retracement. It was quite a big move comparatively. So again, printing through that gap, which obviously we talked about, having that retracement again. The delineation here, expansion, and you can see that retracement. You can kind of really tell the difference here. Obviously, I think it depends on the magnitude between the expansion previous versus what you do on that retracement. But obviously, in this case, we already came to resistance and had a bit of a response already. Obviously found a support point, filled the rest of it, mainly just taking that high as importance, and obviously we then and then obviously continue down. So obviously we can see we had this, and then we start to really expand, to be fair. Like, comparatively, this is a good response, apart from a singular candle, consecutive down close. But then we had a pretty good response of this area here, a main area, I would say. And then obviously coming past this low, but more importantly, finding our support point here and then continuing upwards to fill the rest of this, and then find that move downwards. And then obviously coming into what we're doing now, we have this we're going to have resistance at somewhere in this area. It's going to take a lot of money it's going to take a lot of money to to have like a V, if you will. It'll take a lot of money. If we did this, wow, that will be, whew. But it'll take a lot of money. It'll take a lot of money to do that, so I don't know if we'll do that. But anyway, massive dump coming to the area we talked about on Saturday, and the streams before, I will say. It was Saturday, and it was probably about Thursday, whatever it was. So talking the past two streams, we were talking about us retracing towards 211 anyway. So we had a massive dump towards this area, pretty good. So obviously, like I said, apart from Ethereum and Sui, the down move in general, even Moon, Moon, CRO, XRP, Syrup, Sol, Bitcoin, it was pretty much all down in terms of what I would expect coming forward. So, if we can if we can just meander across Sui and Ethereum, it's all pretty good. So obviously coming down to this area, pretty great. So I think the main thing for me is going to be, are we reversing? So we had a weekly gap. It's stopping at 212, so that's kind of where the meeting for 211 was, 211.71 to be precise, in this midpoint. It was about 212.8, so it might be $1 above. We had this massive gap, so obviously we've had a massive pump. We've obviously come to our resistance area on the 4 hour. We've had a retracement. We've filled this gap, so this is also an interesting thing. We have this gap, but are we going to reverse it? Well, again, remember, even though we have a massive pump and it's a gap, we should use it as a support point. We should go higher. Obviously, the idea of a retracement to come to 211 is there, but we do need to bear in mind what might happen, towards what is going on across the board. Now, obviously, this is on the weekly here, so I'll just talk about it on the weekly. I'm not saying the lower time frames can't have certain retracements and whatnot, but relative to what we have on the daily, for example, obviously you're clearly printing past a decent low. I mean, it wasn't a major low. It wasn't like a major low, especially coming from this low. Having a retracement towards this area is obviously still valid, but I do think what is the delineation here is the fact that we are well above this equilibrium. Obviously, we were already talking about this area on the weekly, 225, 230 at the maximum, 230. Obviously, coming even higher at 250. So pretty wild move upwards for Solana. So even towards max 230 and above, this is the area I want. It would be an idea to maybe look to stop at. If we fail to come upwards. Especially the fact that we had a high, again, failed to print, massive dump, and now we're having this big old retracement from this move, big old retracement upwards to find what could potentially be that low, or that lower high, and continue downwards. Especially if you look at it on the grander, we have this move going on. If we potentially do that, I'm not saying we come to $30. I'm not saying that's like there's going to be a stopping point for sure, but we can at least talk about the idea that we will retrace pretty heavily, especially across the board. If Ethereum looks like it will do the same, Bitcoin will look like it's doing the same. What's the chances that Solana continues to pump all the way to 320, let's say, all the way to 320 or 295 in this case for the high, in example, while Bitcoin and Ethereum are both dumping towards decent lows for a higher low, well, I will say, and then it will continue to pump again continuously as Bitcoin and Ethereum continue to then reverse and pump towards new highs, which what people think at November time, let's say. So I don't think that's likely at all. I think, especially for the fact that we've printed past major lows here, had a pretty slow retracement, pretty good, move up, move down, nice, just normal move upwards, not really too expansive, apart from as of late anyway. I think it would be a general idea to think we could come down again. Will it be 95.5? What my feelings tell me is that's kind of crazy. That's a pretty crazy low. Now, will that be right? Obviously, we'll see how it goes. We do have some supports previously formed on the way down, so there will definitely be some other price areas, especially at 150. I believe I've talked about, in previous scenarios anyway. But yeah, I don't think it's. I don't think it's just going to be roses and dandelions and butterflies for Solana. So I do think we are going to see some sort of retracement at some point. I think this could be a catalyst, especially considering what we have on Bitcoin and Ethereum. This event has been what could be eventually, as we print along in the days, a catalyst to start what could potentially be a decent move. Obviously, I would expect that for the market, as the market has responded across the board. I would still expect that for the market across the board, for this to be a catalyst of a certain move, whether that be up or down. Obviously, majority in the case down. So obviously in Solana's case, I would want it to see it have a decent retracement, especially considering we've been talking about this range, somewhere in the midpoint of here as we've come up towards this equilibrium for sure. So you know, it's been something which has made sense all the way up. So I don't want to back out now and talk about us going towards 311, 295. It would make sense to come downwards. Obviously, there's different support areas. There's this, you know, move down into certain areas down here on the daily, and then pump upwards. So 194 area, 170 will probably be a support area, especially as we have a little gap here, which we kind of not really used, but not really too important. But obviously, we've had these different areas down here, especially it's 220 or yeah, about 228, 130, which obviously we've used previously. These will be support areas, so there will be areas to stop at. But where's the main area we're going to stop at? I mean, I think what would be cool for a long-term thing is if we were to have a wick, kind of a take the low but not print, fail swing, reverse, continue upwards, and that could probably be a good long-term thing for Solana. If we have to have a bit of a faster move down and a faster move upwards, that would make sense. So obviously we'll see. But I think as of late, this has been a good move, and I think my assumption of what Solana will do is pretty much the same across the board with what Ethereum and Bitcoin has. This is a massive move. A lot of value has gone into it. We've had, especially the difference between Solana, Ethereum, and Bitcoin. Main thing with Solana, we were already starting this kind of reversal scenario where we failed to print, had a massive pump, found resistance, and we'd already started the move down. Before this candle, we already started that move down, nearly printing through this low. So obviously, you know, coming upwards, having this move upwards, having this low area around here, having a move upwards, having that new low about here, slow retracement, and then dumping already. We've already printed through this area. We've already printed through this area. We should be starting this move downwards. So what this should be realistically is a retracement from, if we look from here to here, let's say it'll be retracing up into these candles, 235, let's say, whatever it's going to be exactly. Obviously, if we estimate what could be the area as of right now, it'll be somewhere. That's the wrong way. I've drawn that completely the wrong way. It'll be sitting somewhere above 228, you know, filling 230, let's say. Obviously, mid area is 255, or 235, sorry, but as soon as you come above that equilibrium, you'll want to be watching. So if it's, I mean, this main gap area, let's say, we're looking at there, for example. Also, what we could probably pay attention to is this set of, is that a negative candle? I can't even tell. It didn't even print. Whatever. I'm going to include it. I don't care. I'm just going to include it. In terms of this set of down close into this area, which then pumps upwards, and then we've come past it. Actually, what I will say about this, to be fair though, is the consecutive moves upwards is only really this candle, so it's only going to be about this area here. I wouldn't expect it to retrace regardless from here. But if we're looking at like, I don't know if that's negative. I actually can't tell. What I will do though is look at the daily, which will make it easier. So we have that move up here, we have a move into this daily candle, and then a pump upwards with this move. So we can then use this low here and look here. So just to see where could be a area to stop at, which basically is the top of this 230 area. So we do have some sort of resistance anyway. Obviously, for the idea of we move down, we move up above it, and then we move down below it. The area to be using as resistance about that 230 area, and we have this massive event we've had so far with these massive gap areas. So to fill this, I think would make sense. And again, 228 was that midpoint. So anywhere above here would make sense. So I wouldn't really be aiming. Again, I have been wrong on Solana before, so I'm not saying I can't be wrong again. But what could be stacked as a decent area to aim for resistance could be about that 230 area. So again, we'll see as it goes. We'll see how it goes. But you know, I would probably expect to see reversal for Solana. Anyway, it's hit 10 o'clock and I've barely got through anything else. So let's just have some quick glances through things. Okay, nice. 3942. So 3847, we got to 3854. Come on. But considering everything, obviously we have a low, we've come past this low, but again, we're coming down. We're coming down. We're coming down. Obviously, we've talked about us. We didn't even get any chance to get up to here. You know, we hovered in this area, hit Monday, dump. So we didn't get anywhere near above here. I think it might have had a range here. I can't remember what I had. But we barely got even anywhere above here, and then we just continued downwards. So Syrup didn't get up here. That's fine. It wasn't like we failed along or anything. It would have been anything. We're not longing in a downtrend, you know what I mean? I wouldn't really want to do that. I would want to follow it downwards. So we wouldn't have got anything from this, but we would have continued downwards until we hit that what potentially could be a low reversal area, especially on the higher time frame. That's when you want to watch for a reversal on lower time frames and then tread the trend upwards as we continue to either do a lower high or whatever on the higher time frames. So that's what it would be. So for example, in this case, obviously it would be like we had this massive downtrend, obviously coming from the low. low. We found that low coming past this low. So it's like, oh well, okay, we stop here. We can then want to watch on the 4 hour, not only for lower highs and lower lows, but for reversal. And then obviously we do that eventually, obviously wherever it's going to be. We have high, low, and then we print it through it in. We move upwards, and it's like, okay, cool. We've printed through this high. Where can we? What can we do? Well, we kind of have move upwards, and then what we have this candle upwards, candle back down into this candle, and then we have a massive pump into an individual candle, and then we come back into it and then come upwards. So I mean, again, hindsight, whatever. Anyway, let's talk about the current TA, and then I can move on a bit quickly. I will try my hardest to not spend too much time. Continuing downwards, we're so close. I mean, could I not, considering how close and how I've so wanted price to come past 38.47, it would be wrong of me to say, nope, no. 38.58, that was the low. We're not getting past it. We're already starting. We're so close. We've got to come down, surely. Like we've got to hit that low. I've been wanting this low for so long. Surely we'll hit it. I'm sure we'll hit it, guys. But what I will say about SERP, we've actually had these retracements. So, for example, in this case, obviously, we started, big old move downwards. We had, this whole move going on. But what I will say, regardless of where highs and lows, equilibriums, again, this was liquidation, high liquidation. So in terms of the range versus resistance, we have to pay attention to the fact where everything's getting printed at. And we actually have used these areas. Again, we had this area being used. We came back into this candle again from this area. As soon as you printed this positive candle coming from this, which had this old low over here being taken, this was actually being used as support. Again, the singular area here. We used its support very nicely. Obviously, then finally came to our main area. So we had not a reversal. I wouldn't say that. We had the candle downwards, obviously coming from this whole area here, from this set of down close candles. But then looking at this candle for this print upwards, we then finally find a bit of support here. Continue upwards. Obviously fill a bit of this move upwards and then start to come downwards. So we're pretty past this low, so I do think we are continuing downwards. We are in this massive downtrend regardless. So worst comes to worst, I can talk about the fact that we have the highs, so let's say the lows here, just an example. Well, what do we have? We have these sets of candles upwards, and then we have this candle which prints through this one, or these two candles which only really prints through this one in terms of the low here. So I'll probably be focusing on this area, especially if we draw this line across. You can see we've already used it as a support or resistance anyway. So if I draw a range for this, we can kind of see where midpoints are and whatnot. And we can see the midpoints also about that blue area, 4026, coming from this resistance area anyway. So we do have a valid reason to find resistance if we take this low print. Obviously, we've done that. We'll find our area wherever it's going to be below here. We probably might find resistance here, especially considering we have so many highs here. We'll probably take this, find resistance, maybe continue downwards again, taking the low. So I do think we could maybe target to this area one last time. Come on, one last time. So I could expect SERP to continue downwards. That makes sense. And this has been my want. I'm going to delete this for now. I just want to get out of the way. This has been my want and need for so long. And considering how stacked we are against this, we have these two here. We have this main one here. We've been in this move. We've been wanting this move downwards. As soon as we do it, again, on the idea that we've kind of been in this kind of general downtrend to begin with, if we have a nice old move below here, we could just be continuing that move on the way down, having this low, probably have a nice retracement for SERP, continuing downwards. But again, I don't think it's all over, because if we look at what the main has been doing, it's been a nice uptrend, starting a downtrend. We're then not just ignoring the fact that we've had this uptrend. We can't just ignore it and we're in a downtrend, we're going to stop, because then we can look at previous price action and find where we will stop. Find where stopping points can be. So for example, we had a bit of support here. For example, in this candle, we had a down into this gap down, print through this high. We've come back into it to use it, so this is going to be valid. So that's actually probably why we probably stopped so many times, isn't it? It would have been nice if I drew that ages ago. What about me and B? It's 10:06. I can try my hardest, but I do need to end the stream. I'm barely even getting through what I'm supposed to looking through. I've spent so long talking. But obviously, look on the idea, again, just going back to this, on the idea of we have had supports before. We have some lows. Again, we have lows we could probably look at, but it could be a scenario where, especially if we look, let's say, on the weekly, where we've had this, nice move upwards, and they've had this, choppy, slow move downwards, but we might find a lower high. And again, I'm happy about syrup. I'm thinking it's a good coin. I think it's something which can flourish in the future. So finding that stopping point and just looking at, instead of are we going to stop, where we're going to stop at, and then targeting for an uptrend to aim for highs and look at 68 cents again. So again, in these areas, grand scheme of things, it even towards the highs as a whole, just in general, 2-ish X. I'm not saying from here, I think we can go lower, but even from our lowest points, it'll be at 2X at least. So I do think syrup can be going up to these areas. So obviously, just following, all I'm talking about right now is just following this trend, following the move down, but on the grand scheme of things, obviously talking about supports and whatnot, I do want to see syrup go higher. I do want to see it find its, what could be potentially a lower high if we compare the fact that we have had, obviously this is from inception, but had a move upwards, and we haven't really had that main low yet, especially on the higher time frame. We haven't had that main low yet. We're still doing it, and we have these lows. These two lows aren't just the 4 hour. This is daily as well. This is it. This is where it's at. This is 38.47. This is the area. I think we can come past this area. This is going to be a strong thing to focus on. We also have these 3 lows here. Again, somewhere in these ranges could be good areas to target for syrup to find a low at. So I do think syrup relatively in the future is going to find its low, is going to find a nice area to buy at, and flourish, if you will, as I've already said. Anyway, I do need to go a lot faster. I might not. I'm not going to end the stream, but I'm probably just going to glance at what price action we've done and maybe give like not a throwaway, but a quick price for CRO XRP. Maybe glance at Moon, see how it's going, and then obviously end the stream because I do need to end. I've not got around to looking at open interest. I might, if I find anything interesting where I've looked. I haven't actually looked myself. If I find anything interesting, just to talk about it, I could probably try and post it on Telegram. Anyway, Suri. So Suri was doing great. We had such a strong move upwards, but again, alas, the darn failed print, the darn failed high. Should have known, eh? Should have known. Obviously 4 hour, yes, great. Weekly, however, massive move upwards, massive move down. Just didn't quite get that print. Very unfortunate, didn't quite get that print. So obviously failed that. I'm not saying I'm fully putting this down to that, but obviously inverted this gap. And I think I remember talking about this inverted gap here, continuing downwards. But obviously on that idea, I was still hoping syrup could continue upwards, or Sui could continue upwards on the topic that we'd started this massive move upwards coming from this buy area, which we've been talking about. Obviously $3.11, $3.10. And whatnot. So obviously we've had this area really nicely, especially at the print here, $3.20, really, really beautiful. Obviously talked about this order block, which we obviously formed. We used it once, flipped it, used it support again. The idea that we have had a retracement into an area on the lower time frame, taking the high. We have that move, which obviously I have drawn out, and taking that high, great. Didn't quite print past the high though on the daily. Not a great thing. So maybe that's just what it is. Obviously continue downwards. Found our little area here. Oh, it's doing great. Gap. We're doing our thing, and then we're hovering a bit. We're still kind of using a support. We had this order block here as well, holding into this area about the midpoint, and then Monday opens and then we dump. So yeah, there you go. That's a shame, but obviously it's I should have known from the daily. I should have known. So we're coming back down into the whole move we had. The whole move we had for Suri. It is a great shame. I had strong hopes for Suri. I was like, okay, if we go to weekly. We did print on the weekly. We had a really strong. We had really good strength. We had a low. We hadn't really done a main low here. We hadn't done a print here. What I will say, but we were still uptrending here. We hadn't had a main print past any lows per se. Again, I would argue main low areas here. We didn't get past any of this. We had a gap here. We filled it. That was kind of our support area, focusing within this range, and then it came upwards, and then started this move upwards. So maybe it's my fault. Maybe I'm the idiot here, but. Obviously had a massive pump here, good support, massive pump, slow retracement, and this is the thing, was my main thing as well. It's like we had massive expansions twice here, and then slower retracements coming into daily, weekly gap here, filling it, starting to come upwards, and now we're printing past lows and whatnot. So I was pretty strong. I was pretty strong. Is this the end? This is probably the most important question for me. Is this the end for Sui? Are we stopping here? Is this where we're going to see the stopping point at? What I will say actually though is we do have a support point here actually, 322. I'll draw this across actually. We have a monthly order block there. I didn't even see. But yeah, I can't bother to have that on the screen. I can't bother. So obviously we've used this there. It isn't really going to be a great buy area. We do have something of $2.90, but I mean, really paying attention to the trend. Obviously we did, you know, we failed this print. Still came up one more time though. We did find support. We did technically print if you look at this latest one, but didn't print past this high. Really shoddy there in terms of trying to follow the bull trend, which we had hopefully started with this move, obviously to coming past this high here, starting to move up here, failing this, coming down. We've already used this as support. Obviously this low is going to be interesting, but from there, again, you know, it's going to be us coming back down into previous areas of action, which is going to be, you know, this area at $3, $2.90, this low at $3.10, and continuing downwards. Is this the catalyst for a low move? Again, I would expect a retracement for SUI. Again, obviously we've talked about Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and everything above, you know, retracing back up into its areas it's come from, obviously within today. But will this be a catalyst for continuation downwards? I could potentially think so. For what we have, especially with how the price action has been through these lows and whatnot. Even though I was so confident I was so happy with SUI, we do still have something as potential. Again, on the idea that we have, you know, this massive move upwards and then a slower retrace downwards, we do have some areas of support. If this isn't it, it just might not have to be it. We can still come towards previous areas of support here with what we have. We do have, you know, previous, you know, gap here, down close for a print upwards. We do have a support area here, which obviously we've come down into, formed another one here, came down, had over areas of support potentially up here. So we do have something even at $2.80 as well, and within this candle which comes down and prints back upwards within this gap. So we do have something overlapping this gap for kind of a stacked support point. So, you know, $3 could be another target. I do think we can be coming down for SUI, and that's just is what it is. So yeah, let me move on quickly. So CRO, obviously we had this resistance here from the print upwards and print downwards. I think I've got it drawn on the 1 hour as a bit better. Anyway, came up into that, retraced again, not really showing too much inclination. We did have potential within this kind of arc here, because again, you know, in this previous price action, we only wicked. We didn't really print above main highs. Obviously, had this area, started to print up pretty strong. I was saying we have resistance here. It should be down, but if we can print past this, it could be a good sign, especially with these equal highs. Obviously, starts to continue downwards. As soon as we start to print past, especially 23.5, that's us continuing downwards. Fine, whatever. Talked about this last stream. Continuing downwards, starting the trend, cool. And then we had today, and it's kind of pushed us down. Obviously, we're already coming down Sunday and whatnot. Obviously, coming towards 22 cent, obviously the fabled price. And then it got towards Monday, and then we continued downwards even further. So, you know, we've had the first target for the daily, obviously within that top point at even, it was about 21.5 actually. I said around 22 cent, about 21.5 for here. And then we had this area as well, which is about this 19 cent area, for which we've kind of wicked into already. But again, we've had such a strong downtrend and continuation. Again, if we just accumulate some of these candles here, it's good. Like we've had this massive move. Again, it's been like 17% move downwards coming from about 10 a.m. Saturday. So it's just been continuously down. Probably a stronger move, probably just as strong as move as it was here. So I don't think this is, and with CRO we were already negative anyway, so I don't think this is us continuing downwards. I think it's pushed us, I think it's added more to what could push us down, and I think it has given more chance for the 19 cent area to be the next area instead of it being 22 cent or 21.5 cents. It's given more validity for the next point downwards. Obviously you can see we wicked into it here, had a bit of a wick back upwards about this 19.5 area here. From here we've wicked into it and then obviously start to retrace. We're going to find resistance in this area. I pretty much think so. We do that low. I think we could come a bit deeper into this area. We do have this, I think on the weekly here, we had this candle coming upwards. We had obviously previous resistance on the way down, candle up, candle down, print upwards. We've come into it and then come upwards with this, you know, set of candles. Last down close, boom, come upwards. We're going to have support here as well. And obviously this whole area here, you know, filling into this weekly gap. Obviously on the daily here, seems like we want to be going lower as well. Obviously in theory anyway, and obviously want to come deeper towards 19 and a half. Obviously already come into that area, so I do think we could see resistance continuing downwards, filling this area. It might, you know, might just be 19 and a half as we've come to. It might be a bit deeper into the entire gap, dependent on how fast we go, I suppose, down into this area. But again, 18% would be a move towards to get there, but obviously if we come from these areas, it's been about 18% as well. Obviously I know we've already had this 21% move, you know, globally across this, but again, that will obviously mean us retracing and continuing downwards again, which I think we can fully well do. So if we look from this one to this one, about 13%. So for us to come from where we are exactly right now anyway, and to come to here, it's about 18, let's say, just to come to this exact price at 17.5 nearly. So it's valid. We've done moves like this before for CRO, so it is valid. So yeah, 22 cent first target, obviously hit, maybe continuing downwards. Already has continued downwards towards 19. So again, across the board, retracement for a lower high, continuing downwards, is more than valid. Again, we didn't really have much reason to stop for this. I had we were looking at this as a potential, but it wasn't a thing where I was guaranteeing it, which I said last stream. I was saying I won't guarantee this as an area which we flip. Why would I go against the trend? Again, this is a resistance area. We should expect to use this as resistance, which obviously we did, talked about it yesterday. If we're seeing the downtrend and we have no inclination and we haven't shown a single bit of price action which really tells us we're stopping, why would I say we're going to stop just yet? So we've only just about come into it by a nilth of a penny, whatever it's going to be. I think we could retrace even deeper, so it could be towards that 18.5, 17.5 area towards here. I think we can get there for CRO. XRP, we've come from the resistance. I'm gonna go quickly now. I'll try this in 2 minutes. I know I've spent so long on this stream. So going to the daily, obviously we had this gap area which we hit for this top end. We were already kind of in this down move. We only took this low for a major high, major low, lower high. We didn't print past this low. We did print past this low for our down move, but it didn't really matter. We didn't print past the main low. We came up. We technically, or it didn't print past any of this major high. We wicked into this area, and now we're coming down, printing past this low and dumping. So again, we're already looking at this area as resistance, and then obviously coming downwards on the 4 hour, printing past all these major areas here. Also on the 4 hour though, we only wicked past this area, so it makes sense that we had a reversal on the 4 hour anyway. Obviously, as you can see, like we had this move and obviously reversal because we wicked past this, didn't print. So it makes sense we didn't print, continue higher, or retrace and then continue lower. We had a reversal here, continuing towards resistance areas, obviously towards gap areas for this midpoint, for example, and whatnot. And then obviously we had the reversal here, low, high, low, technically a lower high, higher low, but whatever. Main thing here is this lower high, and then printing the lower low, especially within this massive dump here. So especially the fact that we've printed past this low to confirm our trend downwards, and this being a massive gap, this will be resistance. I'm pretty sure of it at 295 at least. Saying if we come to there, obviously with XRP, we have already started to retrace a bit, fill this first area, and then start to come downwards a bit more. Obviously, if we look at it on this end, we've kind of come to the midpoint of this, and now we're coming downwards again. But we could potentially reverse again. We have a bit of a gap here. We might see us start to reverse a bit, come to a bit higher, and then come downwards again. This just being a retracement on the 4 hour and then continuing downwards again. But obviously we were aiming at areas past equilibriums at 278, so anywhere within these areas is going to be where we want to target for a major low on higher time frames. Obviously we haven't quite done that yet on this. Obviously this is a weekly gap towards 257, so this could be obviously the catalyst which continues us down. Obviously failed to print past this high on the weekly here. Again, continuation of candles. If we print through these lows, or these highs anyway, in a nice move upwards, apart from retracement. Not talking about retracements here, just expansions. It's going to be printing past the highs on every single candle, pretty much guaranteed. And if we're not doing that, we could potentially be reversing, which obviously we did here. Printed through, again, found that resistance on the lower time frame. Didn't get to print past this, continuing downwards, started this, equal lows here actually. It doesn't look like, oh no, it might be, oh no, it's the relative lows. They're pretty much exact lows here, so 269, great area, especially considering we've come past this low here. Could be coming deeper into this major gap on the weekly here, coming from this, obviously catalyst, as I've said plenty of times in this stream now, continuing downwards deeper, so I do think it could be a good target. Obviously, this one, the difference obviously here, being on the weekly, we've had this nice print for XRP, and there's obviously been positive news previously for XRP. Within about, I don't know where it was exactly, maybe within September time, early September time, don't know exactly what date it was, but there was positivity, but didn't cause us to go to freeze or 60 or anything. But just based on price action, we are doing pretty well to make sense to go up, to go down, and then up again. But obviously, bearing in mind, market might be continuing downwards, so we do want to bear that in mind, if you will. But as I see it right now, not to comment on what comes in the next 10 weeks or whatever it's going to be, I do think we can go deeper. Again, retracement, equal lows here, I do want to go down. I want XRP to go down. I think it will want to go down towards these lows at least, and towards these different areas. First, on the daily anyway, entering into an important area at 266. Again, anything below this red line is going to be something we want to target at, just towards below equilibrium. So again, fired area below these lows and towards 266. We do have previous areas here, to be fair as well, or as of potential anyway. Coming with these highs for this print, and then printing down through this with these consecutive candles within these two candles here, and then obviously coming down, finding resistance, and then reversing. This also could be an area here, and if we draw it, there we go. Top end of that's about 265 as well. So just about coming into this. Midpoint is around 250, 256 obviously is the midpoint of this. Start of this gap's 250. So something within 250, 255 could be a really good target for XRP. You know, really good deep retracement. But it could be more than valid at 260 as well. Obviously I will say it will continue downwards regardless. So, you know, looking to watch here, especially on the lower time. This is a daily, by the way. Also wanting to watch on, you know, 4 hour, 1 hour, whatever it may be, onto this area for sure. Could enhance the support point on the 4 hour, just so we can see it a bit closer. See if we can, you know, actually make it make sense, if you will. So obviously from here we have the move. I'm trying to make sure I know what I'm talking about. So obviously we had that move upwards, we had the move downwards. This was the move here, coming from these previous highs here. So it is a consecutive move upwards, and then we have the move downwards. Only covers really this candle, but then we come upwards again into this area, only hitting that top end of it, you know, and then continuing downwards again, finding resistance once more, and then obviously we reverse it. Didn't quite get into it there though, but we did have resistance at it, you know, here and here. So still a valid area to potential, and then obviously enhancing it on the 4 hour. Midline sits a bit closer towards that 255 area, so, you know, could be close towards 255 as well. For XRP. Anyway, Moon, I'm just going to give a quick update, not really too much TA. We've been talking about this area. I did talk about, though, last stream that it could go deeper than this, but obviously we had this, these candles here coming into this gap and a massive pump. This is a support area down here, starting at about 4456. Again, obviously we've just about come into this area. We have this grey area, I think, was a inverted gap we had to maybe focus on. This also sits at 42, which also is where that gap can sit at as well, about 42. So I do think we can come deeper towards filling this gap, maybe towards 40, 42, like I said. Obviously, as we've come down, filling this, we haven't really had a major. What I will say about Moon though is they're not really kind of cascade downwards at a major rate. We've had a obviously we took, actually let me look here, took the low with this within this candle, and we came upwards, and then we reversed it. So we could see resistance here. If we draw this across, you can see we used it quite nicely here for a breaker block. The text is not drawn. There we go. So obviously to show what that is, we have the gap here which we filled, printed upwards. This is the singular candle which came through that area here, and then obviously printed up through it. We did find support here, as you can see, like if we draw it across and where the midpoint maybe be, we did find support. Obviously we reversed it again, bearing in mind we're coming from a massive downtrend here. This probably most likely isn't going to be the reversal area of all reversals. Continue downwards, did have this nice wick here, obviously on the way downwards. So we do have some more resistance. If we don't fill here, we have a high here and this resistance here, so we could come into that before we continue down one more time towards this main area. But filling towards, I think 40 could be a good target. That's obviously filling the inverted gap we have on the weekly, so this could be a good target for Moon. Obviously bearing in mind we've got the Wolfies coming out in October time, so could add some positivity for Moon, so do bear that in mind. I do think somewhere near here for Moon could be a great target. Again, obviously as things flow out of main coins towards smaller cap coins and more interest, we could have a nice pump. Obviously we've had pumps anyway, so I'm not saying we haven't had pumps, but yeah, I could maybe see Moon coming upwards again, as we've talked about with what we have potentially coming forward. So yeah, and I think the main thing is actually with this is even on the weekly we haven't printed. Daily we have had a nice big old print here. Weekly obviously we didn't do that, but we didn't do that last time here anyway, and we still came up one more time. So on the daily anyway, we did have a print here. If we look, we did have did we have a print? We had a slight print. We didn't have a main print, to be fair, now that I'm looking at it, but we did have a print on the daily, so still pretty good playing for Moon. I could expect a lower high. Maybe, I'm not saying this line goes up towards 93.87, but it is just the idea that we come up and do another high. So I do think Moon could come up again. Again, you know, we do need to bear in mind what the market could do as a whole, but I do think Moon might slip through the cracks if it may be, obviously. Not biased or anything, not financial advice either, but do bear in mind the market could be going down as a whole in a certain period of time before we pump, so that I mind. But anyway, I'm happy about Moon. I'm happy about pretty much everything. Again, it's been a pretty crazy day. Obviously, ETH, RIP, Sui, RIP. I'm especially sad about Sui, but across the board, most things were down. Obviously, XRP, CRO, Syrup, Sol, Bitcoin, Moon. Everything majoritively was down, and obviously we've seen that down move. So I think even Wealthy Finance was down as well. I think I was talking about, and we have come down. I don't know where our high was actually. I actually need to go back and look at it. But we've seen our areas. This has been a long stream. How long have we been streaming for? An hour and 30. I think I started it. So I've done an hour and a half. Okay, so it's taken me a long time to do the stream. So obviously I've kept you guys for a long period of time. I do apologize. I know probably most people have left by now. I cover Bitcoin, Solana, maybe Bitcoin, Ethereum, maybe Solana. Most people leave. Fine. That's fine. I understand it. So for those of you here, really do appreciate you staying here and being a part of the stream for all the way till the end. Thank you. Obviously, I don't think it's over. I know Mike was tweeting earlier saying it's over, but obviously it's a joke. It's not over. It's just one of these periods. We've kind of been talking about it, so I don't think it's going to be over for anything in particular. I think this is just the way things have to be. Again, it's been something I've been wanting since, I don't even know how long, it's been weeks. Obviously, weekly candles, looking at it quite consistently. We've been wanting us to have a reason to start to come down. Again, obviously, the positivity of September 17th, and I was like, oh, well, September 17th, September 17th is coming, we might see all-time highs, it's like, what I mean? It's like we didn't really move. We didn't really do anything. And obviously, now we have all these liquidations. The likelihood chance that we start to actually have a really big down move is starting to weigh up. I'm not going to lie, it's starting to weigh up on me. So I'm not saying I had doubt in terms of, if we don't hit it by September 17th, or if we don't start to do something to counteract what could be a pump, it might be a bit hard. But at the same time, it's like we didn't actually really move up, so we didn't really have a lot to counteract. So, so I'm glad the fear-mongering didn't continue with that. So obviously we'll see how it goes. Thank you all of you. I will see you on Wednesday for the Mew quiz. Obviously exciting times when it comes to a quiz. I'll also see you Thursday for the next stream. I will try look at the order flow stuff. I just want to see about where liquidations were. I just want to see, just as I thought it'd be really interesting to have a look at and see how it went, by data points exactly, and not just we got liquidated. It's like I want to see where it happened. So I might try and post that in Telegram. Maybe have a post on X, but regardless from that, I don't have anything else to shill or sell to you or anything. I'll come back on Wednesday. I'll be back in the Telegram. Thank you all of you. Have a great rest of your evening, morning, whatever time frame it is. I think most of you guys is probably evening time, so obviously have a great sleep, have a great Tuesday. Okay, I just knocked something over. Hopefully I didn't blow up on the microphone. And yeah, that's it. Thank you. See you guys tomorrow. Oh no, not tomorrow, not Tuesday, Wednesday. Okay, I keep on thinking it's Tuesday. It's not, it's Monday. See you guys Wednesday. Thank you. Goodbye.